Hello, and thank you for watching this May 9th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. We have had an active 2 weeks for severe weather, which should be expected, though, for this time of year. Saturday saw numerous hail and tornado reports across eastern Colorado, while yet another squall line of thunderstorms passed through St. Louis and southern Illinois. Now, shortly after Matt Carpenter's walk-off home run to beat the Pirates on Saturday evening, a line of severe storms blew through the city and spread damaging winds across southern Illinois. This is the second time in the last 2 weeks that this region has been hit with damaging winds. Sunday's severe weather was focused on the Great Plains. While there were a few tornadic supercells, this one really caught my eye. This picture shows the last few moments of a decaying tornado in Kansas near Dodge City. We call tornadoes that look like this rope tornadoes. Whenever a tornado takes on this shape, it is about to be sheared apart by the storm's rear flank downdraft. Still, even though they're quite small at this stage, just a few feet across, they still produce damaging winds. But it's just amazing to see all the different configurations that tornadoes can take. That tornado was one of just a few on Sunday evening. Storm reports showed that there were about 8 tornadoes by 8:30 p.m. last night. But there were over 50 reports of severe hail. Some of the hail in western Kansas was baseball size. When hail like that falls on a warm, humid day, hail fog often forms. Essentially, the hailstones can cool the air right near the ground very quickly, and by doing so, the air temperature drops all the way to the dew point temperature and beyond, creating a very thick fog. Hail fog forms as the air near the ground becomes super saturated with respect to water vapor. Some hail fog is so thick that you can barely see your outstretched arm if you're standing in the middle of it. Well, that hail threat shifts eastward on Monday. The Storm Prediction Center is monitoring a large region for another round of severe weather on Monday from eastern Texas through Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and even into Iowa and Illinois. So let's take a close look at the timing of these storms. By Monday morning, scattered showers and storms cover a large area of the Corn Belt. This precipitation is forming ahead of a developing low-pressure system in the Central Plains that will work its way east over the next 48 hours. By early Monday afternoon, expect the first round of precipitation to push north into Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, while the northern Great Plains also find themselves under widely scattered showers and storms. But the real show begins later in the day, toward late afternoon and evening. We are watching for the development of strong to severe storms in Arkansas, Missouri, and eastern Oklahoma and Kansas. These storms are forecast to push east overnight, bringing widespread showers with embedded storms into Illinois and Indiana. Expect more precipitation for Wisconsin and Michigan too as this low-pressure system finally moves off to the east. Then, there's another round of precipitation that moves through on Wednesday and Thursday night through most of the Corn Belt. Friday looks to be dry though, but there are chances for more rain again on Saturday. In short, it is going to be a very wet week for most of the Corn Belt. When we add it all up, we are expecting quite a bit of rain through the next 5 days. Better than 2 inches could fall across parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa, which sits right along the track of this low-pressure system. One place I wish was receiving a lot more rain, though, is Alberta, Canada. For most of the last 10 days or so, numerous fires have broken out across the Canadian province. Fueled by the dry start to spring, the lack of winter snow, and the anomalous warmth that they've experienced for the last several months, and these fires have been intense and have been very difficult to control. Smoke plumes, as viewed from satellite, have moved east and south across Canada and the northern United States. NOAA has been monitoring these smoke plumes as they really degrade the air quality. Now remember, this same region, as well as the Pacific Northwest, had to deal with an incredible amount of smoke last year too. Well, the worst of these fires was the Fort Murray fire in Alberta, and that fire burned out of control for several days with some incredibly intense heat. Now, one of the very interesting things that can happen above these intense fires is the formation of pyrocumulus. The heat from the flames often causes air to rapidly ascend as convective currents carry the air upwards. Just like with the birth of a thunderstorm, this air expands and cools as it ascends, and condensation begins, which starts the formation of a cumulus cloud. Since the initial trigger for these storms was the intense heat of the fire, they're called pyrocumulus. And they can make rain, and a lot of lightning too. So while what's going on underneath them is quite devastating, from above, these large fires often make some of the most spectacular cloud formations on Earth. Well, speaking of all this heat, what are we expecting for temperatures over the next 10 days or so? Let's step back and watch for the fluctuations of temperature across North America. Early in the week, temperatures in the Corn Belt will be warm, but keep an eye on the Canadian prairies. After midweek, a large-scale intrusion of cooler air pushes south into the eastern half of the country. Those blue colors indicate temperatures that will dip into the 40s for overnight lows for most of the Corn Belt for a couple of nights later on this week. We need to be on the lookout for temperatures to dip toward freezing, though, in northern Wisconsin, northern Michigan, and potentially northern Minnesota by the weekend. A widespread frost is not in the forecast for the main Corn Belt, but still, we're looking at a cool down compared to what we're going to experience at the start of this week. Let's zoom in here on Agrible headquarters. We can see how Monday and Tuesday, the temperatures are going to push into the upper 70s and potentially even the 80s before that cooler air arrives later this week. Still, overnight lows as that cooler air reaches into this part of the U.S. get into the 40s by Saturday morning. Well, as always, we at Agrible will bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.